Here is something that almost no one talks about. Whole Foods Market is one of the most brilliantly marketed stores in the history of grocery retail. And I say that not as a compliment. Because when you walk through those doors and you see the exposed wood, the handwritten chalkboard signs, the words organic, natural, plant-based, and ancient grain on every other label, your brain does something very specific. It switches off its critical evaluation and replaces it with trust. And that trust is costing you your gut health, your energy, and in some cases, your waistline, despite the fact that you are spending significantly more money than you would at a conventional grocery store. Today, we are walking the aisles of Whole Foods, and I'm going to show you exactly which products are health halos items that look healthy from the front of the package, but are actively working against you once you flip them over and read what's actually inside. And for every trap I show you, I'm going to give you the smarter swap, often from a different shelf in the same store, so you leave with a cart full of things that are genuinely working for your health, not just performing wellness. Let's go. Before we get into the specific products, I want to give you the framework that we're using today, because once you understand this, you'll never shop the same way again. A health halo is the psychological effect where a single positive-sounding attribute on a food label, organic, gluten-free, high-protein, keto-friendly, non-GMO, causes you to assume that the entire product is healthy without reading further. Food companies spend enormous amounts of money understanding this effect and exploiting it. They know that if they can get one of those words onto the front of a package, most shoppers will never look at the ingredient list. And the ingredient list is where the real story lives. The rules I use when evaluating any product are simple. No added sugar in the first 5 ingredients. No industrial seed oils. No gut-disrupting additives like carrageenan or artificial sweeteners, and a short ingredient list that I can actually picture as whole foods. If I can't picture it growing or being raised on a farm, it probably shouldn't be in my body. With that framework in mind, let's walk the store. Item 1. Acai bowls and pre-made smoothie packs. Here is the trap. Acai itself is genuinely one of the most antioxidant-dense foods you can eat, low in sugar, high in polyphenols, legitimately excellent. But almost every commercially prepared acai bowl and blended pack you will find at Whole Foods layers that beneficial base under granola made from oats and sugar, a sweetened fruit puree blend, and a honey drizzle. By the time you eat a standard pre-made acai bowl, you have consumed the sugar equivalent of a large soda, packaged inside something that looks and feels like a health food. The red flags on the label: cane juice, brown rice syrup, agave, granola listed as an ingredient, fruit purees high in the ingredient stack, and anything described as sweetened. The swap: buy plain frozen acai packets with no added sugar. Whole Foods does carry them. Blend with unsweetened coconut milk and a handful of frozen wild blueberries. Top with a tablespoon of hemp seeds, a few walnuts, and a drizzle of raw cacao nibs if you want texture. No sugar spike. All the antioxidants. Item 2. Packaged grain bowls and ancient grain ready meals. The trap is in the word ancient. Farro, spelt, freekeh, and einkorn are all real ancient grains, and they are all forms of wheat. Calling them ancient does not change their gluten content. It does not change the fact that they spike blood glucose significantly, and it does not change the fact that the dressings and sauces these bowls come prepared with are almost always made with canola oil, sunflower oil, or soybean oil, the same industrial seed oils you'd find in fast food. These products are selling you a story of antiquity and wholesomeness while delivering inflammatory fats and blood sugar disruption. Red flags: any grain you don't recognize listed prominently, canola or sunflower oil in the dressing, natural flavors deep in the ingredient list, and sugar or honey listed in the sauce components. The swap: build your own grain bowl at home using millet or sorghum, both genuinely low lectin grains, topped with whatever roasted vegetables you have, dressed with extra virgin olive oil and lemon juice. Prepare a batch on Sunday and eat it across the week. Cheaper, faster, and infinitely cleaner. Item 3. Veggie chips, lentil crisps, and plant-based snack crackers. The genius of these products is that they've replaced the word potato with the word vegetable and convinced an entire generation of health-conscious shoppers that the result is fundamentally different. It isn't. Lentil crisps are fried lentils, a high-lectin food in sunflower or safflower oil, which are among the most inflammatory industrial seed oils available. Veggie straws are primarily potato starch and cornstarch, with vegetable powder added for color. Veggie, in this context, is a color choice, not a nutritional one. The red flags sunflower oil, safflower oil, canola oil, cornstarch, potato starch, rice flour in the first few ingredients, and any product that lists a vegetable name but lists its oil or starch as the primary ingredient. The swap. Look for seaweed snack packs made with olive oil. Whole Foods carries several brands. Or pick up a bag of raw macadamia nuts and eat 10 of them. The fat and fiber combination will satisfy the craving for crunch while delivering genuine nutritional value and no blood sugar disruption. Item 4. Kombucha. Most of the shelf, not all of it. Kombucha is a legitimately beneficial fermented beverage. The fermentation process produces organic acids, B vitamins, and postbiotic compounds that support gut health. But the bottles that dominate the Whole Foods kombucha shelf are not health drinks. They are fermented sugar water. Manufacturers start with a small amount of genuine kombucha culture and then add large quantities of fruit juice, cane sugar, and natural flavors to create a product that tastes good enough to sell at scale. The result can contain 25 to 35 grams of sugar per bottle, more than a can of soda in some cases. The red flags. Cane sugar or fruit juice listed second or third in the ingredient list. More than 5 grams of sugar per 8-ounce serving, and natural flavors without a clear source. The swap. Look for kombucha with fewer than 4 grams of sugar per serving. They exist, but you have to look for them, often on the bottom shelf or in a smaller section of the case. GT's Synergy Plain or Ginger are consistently among the lower sugar options. Or ferment your own at home. The starter culture costs almost nothing, and a continuous brew setup costs less than 2 weeks of store-bought kombucha. Item 5. Plant-based protein powders labeled clean or gut-friendly. The plant-based protein powder market at Whole Foods is one of the most effectively marketed categories in the entire store. The packaging is clean, the messaging is aligned with everything a health-conscious shopper wants to hear, and the ingredient list is where the deception lives. Pea protein isolate, the dominant protein source in most plant-based powders, is extracted from yellow split peas using a high-heat, chemical solvent process that concentrates the protein but also concentrates the lectins that peas naturally contain. The flavoring systems required to make these powders palatable involve natural flavors, an FDA designation that can cover hundreds of individual chemical compounds along with guar gum, xanthan gum, and in many cases, sucralose or stevia-based sweeteners, all of which have demonstrated effects on gut microbiome composition. Red flags: pea protein isolate, soy protein, natural flavors listed without specificity, guar gum, xanthan gum, sucralose, acesulfame potassium, and proprietary enzyme blend as a way of obscuring the ingredient list. The swap hemp-based protein powder with a short, readable ingredient list, hemp seeds, and nothing else is genuinely low lectin, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, and easy on the gut. Whole Foods carries several hemp protein options. Alternatively, a collagen peptide powder from pasture-raised sources is an excellent protein supplement with no gut-disrupting additives. Item 6. High-protein Greek-style yogurts from conventional dairy. The Greek yogurt section at Whole Foods is a masterclass in health halo marketing. The words probiotic, high protein, and live cultures are prominently displayed. What is less prominently displayed is that the majority of these products are made from A1 casein dairy milk from conventional Holstein cows that produces a form of casein protein that many people's digestive systems handle poorly, producing an inflammatory response in the gut lining. Add to this the fruit on the bottom varieties that contain 20 to 25 grams of sugar per cup, the carrageenan used as a thickener in low-fat versions, and the natural flavors in the plain varieties, and you have a product that works against the gut health the marketing promises. Red flags: milk from conventional dairy, no A2 or goat, sheep designation. Carrageenan, pectin used as a thickener, natural flavors in a plain product, and any yogurt with more than 8 grams of sugar per serving. The swap. Plain goat's milk yogurt or sheep's milk yogurt both use A2 type casein that most people tolerate significantly better. Whole Foods carries Redwood Hill Farm goat yogurt and Bellwether Farm sheep yogurt consistently. Buy plain, add your own cinnamon, a tablespoon of chopped walnuts, and a few fresh berries. You control the sugar, you control the outcome. Item 7. Grass-fed beef that is only labeled grass-fed, not grass-finished. This is the most important label distinction in the entire meat case, and most shoppers, even educated ones, don't know it exists. In the United States, there is no federal regulatory standard requiring that grass-fed meat come from animals that ate grass for their entire lives. A cow can be raised on pasture, transitioned to a feedlot diet of corn and soy for the final months of its life, the period during which it gains the most weight and develops the fat profile that ends up in your food, and still be legally labeled grass-fed. Grass-finished means the animal ate grass and only grass from birth to slaughter. The distinction matters because it is the final months of the animal's diet that most significantly determines the omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio in the meat. Grass-finished beef has a much more favorable ratio. Grain-finished beef, regardless of what it was fed before, has a significantly higher omega-6 content. Red flags any meat labeled grass-fed without the word finished, raised on pasture without a finishing claim, and any meat where the full supply chain isn't disclosed on the label. The swap looks specifically for 100% grass-fed and grass-finished. That full phrase is the only one that guarantees what you're paying for. Whole Foods 365 brand does carry some grass-finished options, and the butcher counter staff can usually tell you the finishing status of any cut they carry. When in doubt, ask. Item 8. Oat milk, almond milk, and other nut or grain milks. The plant milk section has expanded dramatically in the last 5 years, and the marketing has kept perfect pace. Every carton implies that you are drinking something closer to nature than conventional dairy. The reality is that oat milk is made by grinding oats, mixing them with water, adding an enzyme to break down the starch into sugars, which is why oat milk is surprisingly sweet and has a glycemic impact that rivals fruit juice, and then adding emulsifiers, seed oils, and stabilizers to give it the mouthfeel of dairy. Oats also contain a protein called avenin that cross-reacts with gluten in many sensitive individuals, which means gluten-free oat milk is not a meaningful safety guarantee for people with gluten sensitivity. Almond milk, meanwhile, is roughly 2% almonds and 98% water with thickeners. It delivers almost no nutritional value while providing the emulsifiers and gums that disrupt gut barrier function. Red flags: sunflower oil or rapeseed oil in the ingredient list, gellan gum or locust bean gum, natural flavors, oat milk for anyone with gluten sensitivity, and any milk alternative with more than 1 gram of sugar per serving from non-fruit sources. The swap: full-fat, unsweetened coconut milk from a BPA-free can. Shake it, dilute it with water if needed, and use it exactly as you would any milk alternative. It has no lectins, no industrial seed oils, and a short ingredient list. Whole Foods carries several clean coconut milk options. For a lighter option, unsweetened coconut milk in a carton, not the canned version, works well in coffee and smoothies. Item 9. Tomato sauces and salsas, including the organic premium varieties. This is the one that consistently surprises people because the ingredients at first glance look completely fine. Tomatoes, onions, garlic, herbs. But tomatoes are members of the nightshade family, and the lectins in tomatoes are concentrated in the skin and seeds. A standard jar of tomato sauce contains the skins and seeds of dozens of tomatoes processed at low temperatures that do not denature those lectins. Combined in premium versions with canola or soybean oil for texture, and in most mass-market versions with added sugar to balance the acidity. The result is a product that irritates the gut lining in lectin-sensitive individuals consistently and reliably. Red flags: skins and seeds visible in the sauce, canola or soybean oil listed, cane sugar or sugar in the ingredient list, and natural flavors in a product that should need nothing but tomatoes, garlic, and herbs. The swap look for Italian imported tomato passata. The tomatoes are typically peeled and seeded before processing, which removes the primary lectin sources. Whole Foods carries Muti and Pomi brands consistently. Or make pesto instead entirely. Extra virgin olive oil, fresh basil, pine nuts, and Parmigiano Reggiano. Zero lectins. Extraordinary flavor. Ready in 4 minutes. Item 10. Superfood trail mixes and nut blends with dried fruit. The word superfood on a package of trail mix at Whole Foods is functioning as a health halo for what is, in practical metabolic terms, a high-sugar snack with a few nuts mixed in for credibility. Dried cranberries, dried mango, dried pineapple, and raisins, the most common dried fruit additions to premium trail mixes, are extremely concentrated sources of fructose. The drying process removes water, which concentrates the sugar, and most commercially dried fruit also has additional sugar added during processing. When you eat a handful of trail mix with dried fruit, you are consuming the fructose equivalent of several pieces of whole fruit, but without the fiber matrix that slows absorption in the whole fruit, because the drying process has significantly altered that structure. The liver processes excess fructose directly into fat, the mechanism behind non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Red flags: dried fruit in the first 3 ingredients, sweetened dried cranberries, yogurt chips or chocolate chips, sunflower seeds roasted in sunflower oil, and honey roasted anything. The swap: build your own blend at the Whole Foods bulk section. Raw macadamia nuts, raw walnuts, raw pecans, a small number of raw pumpkin seeds, and a square of 85% dark chocolate broken into pieces if you want something slightly sweet. Everything raw, nothing roasted in industrial oil, no dried fruit. The fat and protein combination is genuinely satiating in a way that sugar-loaded trail mix never is. Item 11. Collagen supplements and beauty powders from conventional sources. Collagen supplements have exploded in the wellness market, and Whole Foods carries an entire section of them: powders, capsules, gummies, and beauty-branded drinks. Collagen itself is a genuinely useful supplement for gut lining integrity, joint health, and skin structure. The problem is not the collagen, it's the source and the additives. Most mass-market collagen products are derived from conventionally raised cattle or marine sources with no traceability. The gummy formats are mostly sugar. The flavored powder formats almost universally contain natural flavors and sometimes sucralose. And the beauty-branded collagen drinks add in fruit juices that spike blood sugar immediately. Red flags collagen from undisclosed sources. Gummy format with sugar as a primary ingredient. Natural flavors in a, quote, pure collagen product. Vitamin C listed as ascorbic acid from synthetic sources. And any collagen marketed as a, quote, beauty drink with juice in the ingredient list. The swap: unflavored collagen peptides from a single verified source, pasture-raised bovine or wild-caught marine with no additives. Mix into hot coffee or tea, where the heat dissolves it instantly and the flavor disappears entirely. Whole Foods carries Vital Proteins plain collagen peptides, which have a short, clean ingredient list and a traceable sourcing claim. Before I close, I want to give you 5 rules that you can apply instantly to any product in any section of Whole Foods or any grocery store without needing to know anything about lectins, seed oils, or gut health specifically. These are the rules I use when I encounter something I've never seen before. Rule 1. The front of the package is advertising. The back is the contract. Every health claim on the front, organic, natural, superfood, gut-friendly, keto, is marketing language with varying degrees of regulatory meaning. Flip it over immediately and read the ingredient list. That is where the truth lives. Rule 2. If sugar appears in the first 3 ingredients under any name, it is a sugar-forward product. Sugar has over 60 different names on ingredient labels: cane juice, brown rice syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, agave nectar, fruit juice concentrate. Learn the aliases. If any of them appear in the top 3 ingredients, the product is primarily a sweet delivery vehicle, regardless of what the front label says. Rule 3. If the oil is not extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil, It is an industrial seed oil. Canola, sunflower, safflower, soybean, corn, and vegetable oil are all processed at high heat with chemical solvents. They are inflammatory at the doses most people consume them. They are in the majority of packaged foods. If any of those words appear in the ingredient list of something you're considering buying, put it back. Rule 4. Natural flavors is a placeholder for a chemical formula you are not allowed to know. The FDA allows the designation natural flavors to cover complex mixtures of flavoring compounds derived from natural sources, but the compounds themselves can number in the dozens or hundreds and are considered proprietary. In practice, natural flavors are found in products that could not achieve their intended taste profile using only the ingredients listed. They are a signal of a heavily engineered food product, not a whole food. Rule 5. Count the ingredients. Fewer is almost always better. A product with 5 ingredients that you can picture growing olive oil, basil, pine nuts, garlic, sea salt is categorically different from a product with 22 ingredients, most of which require a chemistry background to understand. The complexity of an ingredient list is itself a proxy for how far the product has been processed away from its original food state. Short lists win. Here is what I want you to take away from everything we just walked through. Whole Foods is not your enemy. It genuinely carries some of the best food available at retail. Pastured eggs, wild-caught sardines and mackerel, clean extra virgin olive oil, fresh seasonal produce, goat and sheep dairy, and a bulk section full of genuinely whole foods that require no label reading because they have no labels. The store is also full of brilliantly marketed products that are working against every health goal that drew you through those doors in the first place. The difference between those two categories is not price. It is not branding. It is not which aisle they're in. It is the ingredient list. And the single most powerful upgrade you can make to your shopping routine costs nothing. Flip every product over before it goes in your cart. Read the first 5 ingredients. Apply the 5 rules. And build your meals around things that have no ingredient list at all. Whole vegetables, whole fruits, whole proteins, whole fats, because those are the foods that require no marketing to justify their place in your body. You do not need a different store. You need a different habit inside the store you already trust. That habit is label literacy, and once you have it, no health halo will ever fool you again.